At present, I'm working as the Chief Strategy Officer and the Head HR at the HR tech platform called as Advantage Club. We are one of the world's largest employee reward and engagement platform. Prior to this, I was working as the head of HR for Concentrix, managing India, Malaysia, Vietnam, Thailand, and Indonesia, all the countries. Prior to this, I have worked as the head of HR in various capacities in HR roles across organizations like Cipla, Punch Lloyd, so on and so forth. From a qualification standpoint of view, I'm a graduate from Symbiosis, plus I am Ahmedabad. And I've done some bit of work in the HR industry, which has also brought some bit of accolades for me. I received Great People Manager Award for 2020 from GMI and Forbes India. And there are six more awards during the same time that I got from magazines like Economic Times, People Business, Times Ascent, ACEF, and most important, the most 100 most influential tech HR leaders in India by World HRD Congress. So that's something about me. And in my free time, I'm an avid video editor. I run a formal YouTube channel called as True Tech Reporter. So that's what I do. And I love traveling. By now, I have traveled in almost around 52 countries across the world. And I've handled personally HR in more than 20 countries across the world. So that's what I do in my leisure time. And video editing and traveling is my hobby. So that's what I do. See, having been in this industry for 2 decades, one thing I have realized that as the years are passing by, workforce is getting highly diverse. And not only diverse, but at the same time, they're getting dispersed too. It has become reality. And being inclusive is the need of hour. Now, the question and the larger part is, what do we do? Or as your question said, that what are the effective steps or policies that I have taken in my past or in my present role that help my organization build an inclusivity is that one, it has to be a part of your culture. And I'd say that imbibe it by design. Like in one of my previous organization, we didn't have value statements as in like value which are written and you see them written on the walls everywhere, but we had culture statements, and we had statements instead of just one abbreviated word or two words. We had culture statements which define who you are, and in those definitions it was clearly evident that I could be contrarian, I could be bold, I could be coming in from any view, but my views, my caste, creed, culture, religion, so wherever I come in, my diversity, my orientation, it would be respected by the organization. It is by design as a part of the culture statement. Or if you have values, then you need to be imbibing it by design. That impacts at all the level. Most of the time, you would find people when talk about inclusivity, they'll say that start from the top. Now it's very difficult sometimes. Reason being because you have diverse view everywhere, and when you have diverse view, how do you bring inclusivity? So the way you bring it is to make sure that the DNA of the organization itself is imbibed, and that's why I'm saying it. Do it by design. When you do it by design, imbibe it in either your values or in culture somewhere, so that it reminds people every time the glue by which you are binded and where you are moving towards. That's the first part. And I have experienced it. I have tried it as a HR head myself for an organization as strong as more than 100,000 people for whom I was heading HR, or right now a startup organization where I'm completely experimenting it the other way around. Whenever you make it a part of the culture and design, it works beautifully with it. That's one. Second is, it's a small little initiative that I tried, but it works wonderfully well, which we call it as listening circles and ear for all. And that's a very important step in inclusivity. That whenever somebody has any concern, any suggestion, anything to talk about, there is an ear for hearing, and that is very, very important. Why I'm emphasizing slightly more on that is that whenever there is, so often when people come to you, they either come with either a query or a suggestion, failing which, if there is nobody to hear them, it becomes a kind of a concern, and ignoring concern, it becomes an escalation, and then it becomes a sour point. And people feel that I'm not I'm not been included. My thoughts or my ideas or my concern have not been heard, or I've been ignored. And that's why very important. And that's also a first fundamental rule of employee experience or customer experience, that listen to your employees or listen to your customers first if you want to create a great inclusive environment. So I'd say that listening circles, and it's more of an kind of an OD initiative in which people from different stratas within the organization are called in a small and gathering room where they sit across the table, and it's more of a listening circle where there is a moderator and people express themselves freely. But what listening circle does is it gives you attributes or triggers where are you missing on critical points of inclusivity, and there is a ledger which is maintained basis which in a very subtle manner you go and eradicate those barriers which are creating those kind of issues in creating an inclusive culture. And HR teams work meticulously. And whenever the next listening circle initiative begins, you always start by saying that in the previous listening circle forum or session, we had these concerns, out of which we have eradicated or we have removed or we have at least tried working on 4 of them or 6 of them, and show people that there is a progress and we are listening to you. And listening circles also happens a very, very open event, and they cannot talk about promotions. So things that are like anyway is going to be discussed in other forums are not discussed in listening circles. So people who know about listening circles, it's a great initiative. And if any one of your viewers have more questions about listening circle, they can write in the comment. I'll be very happy to take them through what this entire initiative is all about. So I'd say that listening circle is a very, very important, a powerful tool in creating an inclusive culture. The third and most important point, which I'm doing it in my present job, and I'm doing it beautifully well for more than 1,000 corporate in 100 countries. And when it is implemented in 100 countries, obviously it has an impact. And right now, as an organization, we're doing a very, very close study on how the impacts are then translating into organizations' profitability. Because I've seen inclusive organizations have a better culture and they have better profitability. And that is that engage, reward, and celebrate. And it's a 3-step process. And also the third step in my answer that I'm sharing with you is that engage people first by design, and then don't forget to reward whoever has shown the best. And once you reward, then do not shy away in going out in public and socially celebrating it together. Because things which are celebrated are always been those things which people remember. They leave memories for life. And people appreciate those good behavior. And when good things are appreciated and goodness is spreaded all around, we all know like a dopamine effect, it multiplies from people to people. And I would say that when you see a positive, inclusive behavior, which is a strong foundation, you need to make sure that those people are engaged by design, rewarded by design, and celebrated by design. So a slightly longish answer, but I'd say that these 3 things are very, very important if you want to create an inclusive environment. But yeah, there is no end to it. It's an ongoing process, I'd say that. As I said, that one thing we have to accept it in today's world, that workforce has become diverse and dispersed both. We all know that, right? Impact of technology is absolutely inevitable. Inevitable the way we live, inevitable the way we work, inevitable the way we even going to be working in the future. And events like pandemic have actually multiplied the pace of technology infusion even at work. When I say that, things like, and I'm talking about era which is post-pandemic, things are like big data, ML, AI, blockchain, bots, as you mentioned too, universal translators, IoT, Meta as a universe, human-computer interface, Web 3.0, it's endless. And you see all these technology, either solo or in hybrid, are used across various platforms to make sure that by the end of the day, human resources as a function is utilizing them for the betterment of their employees. And the answer to your first question is that my view, the future of HR is full of tech. And I think I'll not be very surprised if some kind of a tech nomenclature already would be infused or will get infused in the HR function itself, like you already have an HRIS function. So that way I'm not even very sure in some organizations have already embarked on a new function within HR called as HR digital or HR transformation or something like that. So the answer to first question is yes, it's inevitable, it's already happening, and that's the future. The second is that what is this tech doing to us? Is it counterproductive or is it productive? So let's look at this tech, why we are doing this tech in HR for our staff, for our employees. We're basically doing it to make sure that we have a better employee experience. A better employee would serve a customer better. A better customer would obviously give you a better profits, and a better profits would obviously make the company good. And obviously, if the company grows, then everybody grows it along with the entire ecosystem. So by the end of the day, I would say that whenever a tech is infused into any experience that you're trying to build in, experience is everything with anything that you do. It's very, very essential. I'll again repeat it. Experience is everything with anything that you do. It's not about technology alone. But when you use technology, it multiplies the X factor. And it helps you build a very, very strong employee value proposition that we are an employer which cares for the employee. We are an employer which is very progressive in nature. We're an employer which is very, very concerned about who you are and how can we make your future better. So that shows promise from the side of an employer that we have a great company and a great culture in offering. Obviously, in my particular opinion, it multiplies the productivity. But at the same time, you have issues like moonlighting and a couple of other issues which also come along with that. Because when people have more leisure time at hand, they will be utilizing their time somewhere else. I'm not going to talk about whether that's right or wrong, but in my particular opinion, a great experience would give better productivity, and HR tech is the future of HR. Let's understand why do we need compliance first of all. That I think sometimes we miss that particular aspect, and that's very essential. In my particular opinion, the greater purpose of a compliance is very, very important. If you understand that, obviously you'll comply to that. But at the same time, on the contrary, if I look at many of our compliance, and sometimes the way the policymakers make compliance, it looks like it seems like it's an idea to catch you what you're doing wrong, rather than to enable you to do right things. And I think that has to change. And that has to change because sometimes it's as I said that the intent should not be to see who's doing wrong, but also to enable who's doing right. And what I mean by that is that these new labor codes that are coming in, we already know that last 3 or 4 years, as I remember to the best of my knowledge, and I've stopped counting it now, it has been into kind of news that is coming now and then. And very recently, again, our prime minister said that very soon they'll be implementing it, but I don't know when that's going to happen. So I think I'd say that it's a step taken one by one. Government of India has already taken one step towards it in terms of collapsing so many earlier labor laws and bringing them to four labor codes and taking the first step. But at the same time, it has got a lot of ambiguities. There are certain things which are clearer. There are certain things which are yet to be clarified by the Ministry of Human Resources and Labor. So I'd say that one step taken at a time. They're trying to simplify it. I'm very hopeful. I'm very, very hopeful that government will take more steps to simplify these compliances. But on a shorter note, yes, that's the reality of doing business in India. If there are so many compliances, that's how it is. But at the same time, you have service providers, you have consultants, you have compliance authorities which help you, in complying to these. There are automated solutions. Even HR tech has come here. Like there are solutions which are available, which you can buy off the shelf solution, which can help you to understand whether you are complying to certain labor laws or not. So yeah, while there is solution available there in the market, but at the same time, I, as a HR professional, certainly has an ask from the government of India that we'll be very happy to see these labor codes coming into effect very soon, as early as possible. At the same time, simplifying the ease of doing business in India, and that'll be like a true delight if that can happen. So there are three aspects to it. How I look at it, Maru. Okay, the first aspect is that first of all awareness. And we since we're talking about digital transformation, let me take you 4 years or 5 years back. Uh, there was digital, this word which existed at that point of time, and there are a lot of companies which were trying to even define what is digital. Somebody was calling a business process reengineering as digital. Somebody, a small minor automation, they were calling it digital. Somebody who had done a little bit of process engineering plus automation plus something else was calling it automation, digitization. So first of all, the definition of digitization in the last 5 years have immensely grown from what it is to what it is today. So I say that awareness is phenomenal in last 5 years. At the same time, in last 5 years, every university today has a course on digital. That's something very surprising. You would have not seen such kind of spreading of like infection. If there's a pandemic which is spreaded in the whole world, digital as courses you would see are now being offered in any university. And I just request, if you just go back and 5 years back, even open brochure of a single university, there was no mention of the word digital anywhere in any of the courses. So the beauty of digital is that the awareness is created much more than what it's expected to be. So that's great. Thumbs up for that. Second, when solutions started coming all across, you're absolutely right. There are YouTube universities, there are WhatsApp universities, there are formal platforms which have offered it as a course. And those are great content, by the way. Content offered by platforms like Udemy, Simply Learn. I can go on and on and on. There are so many platforms which are available wherein these courses are available off the shelf by some of the best experts in the industry. They're very high quality courses. So I say once the awareness is built, people have tried acquiring it as a skill. So second stage is the acquisition of a skill. They've acquired it, they've got it, they've understood it. But the things which they lack is experience. And to actually imbibe digital transformation, you need to do 2 or 3 large projects. And digital transformation happens in different arenas and areas, and there are aspects to digital transformation, whether you're doing it, in terms of data, customer, competition. These are 5 different dimensions of digital transformation in which you do digital transformation. Now, what became as a challenge is there are a lot of, and in fact, I hired such people whose awareness and acquisition of skill is great, but when it comes to applicability, there is suddenly a drop. So what we do is we hire people with very high degree of awareness and skill acquisition that they have done. And under a senior program manager or a project leader who's ample experience, we provide these new leaders, or I would say that these new managers, more practical experience and job of how do you digitally transform a particular problem, and then offer multiple solutions around it. Because one of the beauty of digital solutions just doesn't offer one solution. It offers a great experience, but at the same time, a solution which caters to multiple. So we make sure that one of the experienced project managers navigate and ensure that he creates another setup pool within the organization. So if all three things together, that means awareness, acquisition, and experience, all three together. And now I can tell you that since the pandemic is over, 12 months in our operation, I'm very happy to share with you that there was a time when we had paucity of skills and skill gap was clearly visible. But today, I'm so happy to share that we are up to the mark, and the planning that we had done a year back and the strategy that we've used of awareness, acquisition, and experiment has worked for us. And today we are in a comfortable space. But yes, growth is posing more challenge for us. So we are still hungry for more talent, and we are looking forward for more avenues now how to hire them. That's where it is.